Okay, let's. Okay, hopefully this is it, and then I have to restart. I was hoping to get this done, hoping to start somewhere between 3 and 3:15 maybe, but it's about 3:20 when I actually when this live officially started. So I'm like, okay, I'll hopefully get this done within an hour. Within an hour and 10 minutes, I want this live stream to get over with at least and within at least an hour and 10 minutes with a minimal of distractions. But knowing me, the trolls will come on, or at least the one troll will probably show up at least once or twice. Maybe even more, who knows? But let's get on with this. You guys know why I'm here, so let's just start off the live stream with, hey Austin, I'm glad you could make it. Let's just start off with Monday Night Raw. As we all know, Monday Night Raw starts out the week every week, starts out every week. So we all know that. The opener was Drew McIntyre. Not early. Recently, I've been wanting to go live at least between 3 and 3:15 because I don't usually like going live later because then afterwards I don't usually have that much time for my phone to charge up more, but it's okay. But yeah, it was about 3:20 when I went live, so I'm not that early. Usually I go live usually between 3:20 and 4:30 usually. Oh, and Danny, I'm sure you by now have heard of the unfortunate news regarding me and Matt's channel. Yeah. Yep. Somebody got an early. Oh, you don't know? Oh no. Oh, you're gonna be really not happy when you. Somebody got an unofficial early Christmas gift. Early Christmas gift present. Apparently I've been given way too many chances. Apparently I've been given way too many chances. According to the one person, I've been given way too many chances, and I blew my last chance apparently. So I'm kaput, gone for good, finito, finished, never coming back. Although Matt did say that I could come back if I wanted to come back under a different name, but obviously you know who is going to probably see right through any fake account I can think up, and but it's not like it's the end of the world, but geez, you could at least, I don't know, but hey, it is what it is. Let's get on with the show. I don't want to bore you guys too much with my sob story. So let's get on with the show. Obviously, Drew McIntyre, he opened up the show. As always, he talked about basically mainly just two things. The Bloodline, talked about Saturday night's main event, he talked about the Bloodline, obviously, and how he's taking out basically everybody who has had anything to do with the Bloodline as of late. Oh, hey, Austin. New channel. Well, thank you. And I'm guessing that was the third like. Thank you. Can we maybe get this to 5 likes? Can we get this to 5 likes? I'm pretty sure we can do that. And then after that, can we maybe get it to 10 likes? Also, like I said, that probably won't work because yesterday, apparently, that I don't know if that'll work because I've done it maybe twice before and Moxley how he could tell it was me those previous times, I don't know. Yeah, Moxley reported Georgia. Yeah. Well, I told Aaron to do something important. To do something important. If he comes on here and if the trolls come on here. But who knows? Drew McIntyre, he opened up Raw. Eventually, Sami Zayn decided, you know what, I'm gonna interrupt things here and I'm just gonna interrupt the proceedings. I know, yeah, obviously, it's been the holidays. Oh, hey, Danny. Apparently, something really strange happened at the event in Madison Square Garden. I think it was Damian Priest was taking on Gunther in the main event of the MSG Live event inside a steel cage. Ludwig Kaiser, after the match ended, Ludwig Kaiser comes in to attack Damian Priest, and then for absolutely no reason, I don't know what happened, but what CM Punk was doing, but out comes CM Punk in nothing but a bathrobe, nothing but a towel, and a shower cap. Like, what the hell? That's crazy. Like, he could have at least put on some of his wrestling gear to come out there and. Oh, you saw it? Okay. I was wondering if you had, because you just literally just said that you weren't keeping up much with the wrestling stuff because of the holidays. I was like, damn, that's the craziest thing I think I've ever seen Punk do, ever. Besides the stunts he pulled in AEW at All Out and All In. Other than that, like, that was crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't think I've ever seen that. Not since the last time I saw something even remotely like that. The last time I even saw something remotely like that was an episode of SmackDown in 2003 when a streaker just decided to cause a little chaos on SmackDown. Can't remember which SmackDown episode that was. Yeah, I heard, and I did see the video, of the ending of it on AEW's YouTube channel, and that was pretty impressive. That was pretty cool what they did. I thought it was actually pretty smart for them to end it that way, with Jon Moxley just like destroying the entire set and basically just like, I'm ending this. This shit is boring. Ain't nobody wants to see it, so I'm gonna end it. So I'm just gonna end it for good. And I mean, AEW Rampage was good for like the first 3, 4, maybe 5 months, but then after a while, it just got. I mean, if you want me to, yeah, I can mod you on your new account, just as a standard mod, because I don't want, because obviously I'm sometimes having trouble with mods, obviously. Going rogue. Oh, I don't mind doing it. But hey, let's get back onto the show, because I've been distracted enough already. Obviously, yeah, Drew McIntyre opened the show. Sami Zayn interrupted. This led to another attack. Drew McIntyre then just attacked Sami Zayn again. This time, though, Jey Uso comes out to help. And so that's how the opening ended. Another Drew McIntyre promo interrupted by Sami Zayn. The promo was great. I'm not sure how many more times I want to see Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn, no matter how good they are. Hey, thanks, Jeffrey. And I'm guessing you were the 5th like. Thanks, and I appreciate it. Also, now that we've gotten to 5 likes, can we get this live stream up to 10? I would Very much appreciated. Then after this, we go backstage. Now, apparently, I had forgotten, but Kairi Sane, hey Aaron, I really am hoping that the trolls actually do come today. But then also, I'm guessing I might not, but then again, I might not have any problems with the trolls anymore because of what happened with Matt's live stream and all that. He might not feel like it's necessary to go after me anymore. Well, that doesn't, well, that's okay, but still, I have the memories. Backstage, apparently I didn't know this, but Kairi Sane was supposed to be involved in this Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament, and because of the attack, apparently, I think it was last week or the week before last, she got attacked by PFC, the Pure Fusion Collective. I still hate that name, but apparently because of last week's attack, or whenever the attack happened, Kairi Sane's out, and so she wasn't going to be able to be involved in the triple threat match that was scheduled for tonight, which was Alba Fire versus Natalya versus Kairi Sane, but since Kairi Sane was injured, Io Sky was put in the match. Nick Aldis decided to put Adam Pearce, who was the general manager for Raw, decided to put Io Sky in the match. I mean, I think in the backstage segment, Sonya Deville kind of wanted to be in this match, was like, hey, put me in the match. And it's like, no, I don't think you should be in the match. Or even Shayna Baszler, because Shayna already lost her chance. So she put in Io Sky. And shortly after we go from a commercial break, that's what we get. The next match/segment is the triple threat match, Natalya versus Alba Fire versus Io Sky. This was went about 9 minutes. It was good. It was a really good match. Io Sky won, which I'm guessing was, I don't know if it was actually the right decision, because the Io Sky has already been former women's world champion, women's champion. So for her to just immediately go from the main event to basically the mid card does not seem like the best move. I would keep her in the upper mid card / main event scene all the time. I'm guessing they want her now. Now that I'm seeing her in this tournament, now that I've seen her advance, something tells me that they're just going to have her win the entire thing. Which it's not like that's going to be a bad move, because she's a great wrestler and she can be a great champion, first champion. But there were a lot of reports and rumors going around that Natalya was being heavily favored as the champion, to be the first champion. There were a lot of people backstage that were really pushing for her to win this tournament. So I don't know where those rumors went to. I'm guessing they decided, you know what, maybe Natalya isn't the best person to be the first ever champion. I don't know why she isn't the best choice. I don't know why she can't be the first champion, because she's definitely a veteran who has done nothing but give back in the last few years. She's more than willing to put people over when she needs to. But I don't know. It was a good match. It's just I don't know if the right person won. But that's just my opinion. You guys can have your own opinions on that. backstage after this, we got backstage. We went backstage. Damian Priest, well, Dominic Mysterio was backstage. Apparently, he was informed by Adam Pearce that tonight he will have to face Damian Priest again. He obviously wasn't too happy about that. Nobody in the Judgment Day were very excited about that match. And nor should they be, because the last time Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio actually fought, Dominic actually did get the win, but it ultimately cost him dearly because he may have won the match, but he didn't exactly walk out on top. After that Damian Priest beatdown, that was savage. Today I am not drinking my usual Powerade. Today I'm drinking Propel berry flavored, and it tastes delicious as always, as good as it always has. We then get Sami Zayn and Jey Uso backstage. This Sami Zayn apparently Sami Zayn has now made it official for the main event: Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. So great, another Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre match that I was pretty sure they might give the win to Drew, but then there was also a part of me that was like, Sami Zayn already lost to Drew once at Saturday Night's Main Event. They're not going to have Sami Zayn lose to Drew McIntyre every single time they face, right? Because they've already faced off against each other at least twice this year already before now. Hey, thanks Aaron for being here. I appreciate it. If there's anybody in here that's just now coming in that wants to hit that like button, feel free to do so. It's never required, but I do appreciate it. Come on, trolls. Where are you? I know you're here. I know you wanna talk your trash. So just get it over with. So I can block you guys again. For like the millionth time. This may be the first live stream where I actually don't have problems with trolls. And if that's the case, then it's oddly convenient. And then it's oddly convenient that the trolls don't show up now, the trolls don't show up. Now that the person behind the troll accounts can't seem to care anymore. Yeah, right. Just because you may think you've forgotten all about me and haven't given me the time of thought about me at all since Monday doesn't mean you're not gonna stop coming after me, because we all know that's gonna happen. Next, we got Akira Tozawa versus Chad Gable. This match, not needed. 4 minutes, a little bit of a squash. Chad Gable obviously won. Like, it is what it is. Nothing special about this. This Monday Night Raw wasn't exactly special at all. But it is what it is. Because afterwards, obviously, American Made decided to attack American at the Alpha Academy. This led to Otis and Chad Gable staring down, which I thought was a little bit late, like maybe a few months too late, because they should have had this feud. They should have had this when Otis first left the Alpha Academy, or abandoned Chad Gable, apparently. But hey, it is what it is. Like I said, then we go backstage. The New Day are backstage. Dominic Mysterio comes into focus. He's getting ready for his match against Damian Priest. New Day are like, oh, hey, look, here's Dom, someone who finally is probably willing to get us because he knows what it's like to cut dead weight, so to speak. Cut ties with dead weight, so to speak. But he didn't exactly seem like he was all too happy about what happened either. And I'm like, okay, you'd think Dominic, of all people, would understand because he literally did the same thing. And what happened was basically just a mirroring of the same thing happened. Dominic Mysterio took out his father, turned heel, and instantly became the biggest heel in the company. Like, ultimately, you couldn't compare anybody else. And I know a lot of people will still like to say, oh, there's no way. Dominic Mysterio, that can't be real boos that he gets, right? Of course they're real. Those are real boos, okay? The boos that Dominic Mysterio gets, that's not piped in, that's not manufactured, that's legit heel heat. The same thing with the New Day. The New Day turned heel on Big E, and instantly may even have surpassed Dominic Mysterio as the biggest heel act in the company. Because they get as much heat as Dominic got when he first turned on his dad, and still does get. But hey, it's great that the New Day are finally interesting again. Then we get Damian Priest versus Dominic Mysterio. Went about 7 minutes, wasn't anything special. At one point, though, Damian Priest, he sees a Santa in the crowd, decides, you know what, I've seen this before. I've done this before when I was in the New Day. When I was in Judgment Day, I know all about this. I know all about the Judgment Day playbook. I've been a part of Judgment Day too long not to know the Judgment Day playbook by now. And so he grabs Santa, throws him to the ground. Apparently it was J.D. McDonough in a Santa suit. So hey. And then he goes immediately to the bottom, to the ring. Then immediately goes to look under the ring, and he sees Carlito underneath the ring. Obviously, Damian Priest knows the Judgment Day playbook all too well to let himself get played, but he still kind of does, because Finn Balor then comes out of nowhere and starts attacking him, which gives Damian Priest the DQ win over Dominic Mysterio. It was a decent match, but one that we've seen already, and it didn't need to happen. Arguably, the best thing about this Monday Night Raw was the sit-down interview. What we got next was the sit-down interview with Seth Rollins, which was arguably the best thing about this week's Monday Night Raw. We then get, obviously, we know what he talks about, the same thing that he's talked about now for the past couple of weeks. CM Punk, all the reasons why CM Punk's the bad guy and why he's the good guy, and how he's nothing like CM Punk, and how he never would have left WWE, even if he had been in the same situation that CM Punk was in at the time. He never would have left. He would have just stayed and done his job like a good little soldier. This is obviously going to lead to a heel turn from Seth Rollins, because it's obvious that the crowd just will never boo CM Punk unless he commits bloody murder on live TV. That's just never going to happen. So I'm guessing this is going to have to result in Seth Rollins turning heel, which I think is best for business anyways, because heel Seth Rollins has always been good. Has always been pretty good when it came to Messiah Seth Rollins, Visionary Seth Rollins, authority, Seth Rollins. He's always been good. Then we get Dexter Lumis versus The Miz. Another decent match, but it wasn't anything special. Don't know if it needed to be on here. This just gave the Wyatt Six and the Final Testament and others something to do on the show. This again led to a brawl between the two teams, between the two factions. I actually do like the fact that they're actually making the Final Testament look credible against the Wyatts. Because it would have been very easy for WWE to just book the Wyatt Six versus Final Testament feud the exact same way they booked Wyatt Six versus American Made, where the Wyatt Six just win every match and the Wyatt Six just dominate the American Made, and the American Made look like jokes. I'm glad that they're actually making the Final Testament look strong against the Wyatts, because it would have been easy for them. It would have been so easy for WWE to just make the Final Testament look like jokes when it came in front of the Wyatts. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm interested in this storyline, but the time will tell how long my interest can be sustained. Then we get a New Day segment. New Day come out, obviously to talk. Obviously the crowd boos heavily, not piped in like certain people will want you to believe. Wink, wink. We then Kofi Kingston decides to reveal that his own mom is in the audience tonight, and is in the audience attending the show. He eventually goes up there and wants to hug her and stuff, but then she's like, but then his own mom is like, dude, what you did to Big E was not right. So she even just decides to just leave. And so she basically leaves her own son hanging. And I'm like, damn, your own mother doesn't want to talk to you because of what you did to Big E. Then we get the main event, Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. A really good match. Obviously, they put on great matches every single time. This actually went about 13 minutes. It is what it is. Good match. Wasn't really needed, but it was a good match. Obviously, Drew McIntyre won via the Claymore. Afterwards, the Bloodline 2.0 came out to attack. Sami Zayn, Jay comes out to try and make the save, but it didn't work. Because even at just three members, the Bloodline seems to be just as strong as they were when they were a full unit. Then again, it's because they have Jacob Fatu, and he's obviously the best of the three by far. And then we also have obviously Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. But yes, that was Monday Night Raw this week. If I had to rate Monday Night Raw this week, I would rate it a 6 out of 10. It was just a decent show. Some good matches. A good opening segment. Seth Rollins' interview was the best part of the show. Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre was actually a good match, and the Triple Threat women's match was a good match, with just a questionable winner in my eyes. Obviously, you guys can have your own opinion on that. That's the reason why I'm here, just to give you my opinion, and then you can respectfully disagree if you want. But yeah, now let's move on to NXT. NXT this week took place on Christmas Eve. This was a Christmas Eve edition of Tuesday NXT, and this place, and if I'm not mistaken, this was the exact same. They were in the exact same city in the exact same building that they were in for last week's episode, which makes me believe this was a pre-taped, obviously for to allow for superstars to go visit families and to celebrate Christmas. So obviously, I think it was in Laurel, Massachusetts is where they were at. I can't remember the exact building they were in, but it was in Laurel, Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken. The opening match was Stephanie Vaquer versus Cora Jade. This came about because of an attack Cora Jade Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez did on Stephanie Vaquer last week. And after the main event tag team match, in which Cora Jade and her tag team partner Roxanne Perez did win, although Roxanne Perez was backstage busy continuing her attack on Julia, who was in that tag team match. After the match, though, Stephanie Vaquer came back out to attack Cora Jade. This then led to this match. It went about 9 minutes, and it was a pretty decent match, women's match. Again, went about 9 minutes. Stephanie Vaquer wins, which I thought was pretty obvious, but it was still a good match. Then after this match, we get the D'Angelo family backstage of Channing Stacks Lorenzo and Luca Crucifino. They are competing in a Christmas Chaos Fatal 4-Way tag team match in the main event, basically the main event match of the night. The last match of the night, basically the main event match of the night, which will determine the number one contenders for the NXT North America NXT tag team titles, currently held by Axiom and Nathan Frazier. They weren't actually on the show, I don't think, this week, so probably Axiom at least selling the fact that he got beat up last week in 2 matches and was still able to retain the tag team titles in his tag team match with Nathan Frazier. So it is what it is. So it was Stacks and Luca Crucifino versus OTM Out the Mud, Hank Walker and Tank Ledger versus the No Quarter Catch Crews, Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights. After this little backstage, little message vignette was talking about the tag team match, the main event tag team match. After this, we get Lexis King backstage. He is getting ready for his Heritage Cup match against his rematch for the Heritage Cup against Charlie Dempsey. William Regal shows up again and says, "Hey, I want to be in your corner this time again." Lexis is like, "Okay, I'm cool with that." They go out there, we get the match underway, and then we go back to commercial break. And we come back from commercial break, obviously. And then at the end of the match, though, was where things got a little tricky, because apparently by the end of the match, near the end of the match, William Regal decides to bring out the brass knuckles again and again, wants Lexis King to use the brass knuckles to win the match. And Lexis King again is like, "Dude, what are you doing? I don't want to win that way." And then at one point, William Regal just shoves Lexis King like, "I'm trying to help you win, so a thank you would suffice," basically. Then Charlie Dempsey apparently has the brass knuckles in hand, and the ref sees this, and he inevitably has to disqualify Charlie Dempsey, which, according to Heritage Cup rules, if you're disqualified, you automatically lose the title regardless of how many falls you have. So we get a new NXT Heritage Cup champion, Alexis King. It is what it is. It was interesting to say the least, but I don't know what happened, but it was interesting to say the least. That's all I will say. Then, also, this match went about 13 minutes, so it was actually a very good match. It was a very good match, but the ending was just a little weird. Actually, last week's match, NXT title match, was weird too. The finish to that one was weird too. Then after this, we got Kelani Jordan backstage. She was apparently after her match, after the Stephanie Becker Cora Jade match, Kelani Jordan decided to come out there to launch an attack of her own on Cora Jade. Apparently, she's not exactly happy about losing the tag team match last week in the main event. Stephanie Becker, I guess, tries to come in and just break things up and be like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" So Kelani's not happy that Stephanie decided to get her nose involved in her business. I don't know what's going on here, but if Kelani Jordan is turning heel, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, but hey, it is what it is. Should be interesting to see, to say the least, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. Then, after this, we go to commercial break, and then we come back, and we get Ashante the Adonis taking on Dion Lennox. Apparently, this match came about because of a backstage segment last week, in which Dion Lennox was talking to Carmen Petrovic, giving her some advice. At one point they are hugging, and Ashante sees this and is like, "Dude, what are you doing? Dude, what are you doing? I like this girl, and now you're just gonna be all up in here hugging her and all that stuff." And so he basically challenges Dion Lennox to a match this week. So we got this match about 5 minutes, went about 5 minutes. It was actually a pretty decent match for the amount of time it got. But Ashante wins. At one point, though, Nikita Lyons, who has been sort of shuffled into this sort of romance story with Ashante and Carmen decided to come out there to, I guess, to be cheerleader for Ashante. At one point, Nikita even sort of trips up Dion Lennox, which allows Ashante to get the win via a roll-up. So it is what it is. Decent match. Dion Lennox apparently is pretty good, although I've never actually seen him. He's apparently really good because he did some really cool power like moves, and I thought he was pretty good in that match. But he lost. It is what it is. After this, though, we went backstage and we got OTM. They also had a message for their competitors in the Christmas Chaos Fatal 4-Way match. This obviously not much really to talk about here, just simple to the point. Then we also get Hank Walker, Tank Ledger, the same thing. They had a message for their competitors in this Fatal 4-Way match. It is what it is. Then we go backstage and we get Alexis King, who's still sort of celebrating. He doesn't necessarily want to talk about the match because he doesn't even really know what to think about the match. He's just now still trying to process the fact that he actually won the match. So I'm like, Well, yeah, I can understand him not wanting to really talk about the match because he's still sort of processing the fact that he actually did win. Albeit via DQ, but a win is a win sometimes. Oh yeah. After this backstage segment though, we got Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, who apparently are back on NXT, who came back to NXT last week in a backstage segment talking to where they had a conversation with Fatal Influence. So that led to this match against Jasmine Nix and JC Jane of Fatal Influence. This match went about 11 minutes, and it wasn't a bad match. Obviously, though, at one point we got a couple of people showing up unannounced. We got Katana Chance and Kane Carter apparently at one point were in the crowd watching this match, I guess, very closely. And then we obviously got the trio of Tatum Paxley, Shotzi, and Gigi Dolan, who were there, I guess, obviously to sort of take away the numbers advantage for Katana, for the Fatal Influence. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn actually do get the win. I don't know if they're heels anymore, but it wouldn't surprise me if I don't know if they're heels or faces now, because I feel like a lot of superstars nowadays are like fluctuating between face and heel, because most superstars right now I don't even know if they are face or heel. But it is good match. But hey. Then we get Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights backstage. They are getting ready for their fatal four-way match. Obviously, they're not exactly happy about what happened with Charlie Dempsey and Nexus King during the Charlie Dempsey Nexus King match. But then we actually get the Christmas Chaos Fatal Four-Way Tag Team match, which will determine number one contenders for the NXT Tag Team titles. Champions, which will more than likely be defended at New Year's Evil. Just thinking that's probably where they might do the match. And so we got No Quarter Catch Crew, that being Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights, versus OTM Out the Mud. I can't remember what their names are. Then we got versus the D'Angelo family, Stax and Luca Crucifino, versus Hank Walker and Tank Ledger. This match went about 14 minutes. Obviously, the match was labeled as Christmas Chaos, and so that's exactly what we got. Just a bunch of weapons, a bunch of Christmas-themed weapons, candy cane, kendo sticks, whatever you can think of. At one point, I can't remember who, but someone got put through a table that had cookies on it. And I'm like, oh man, not the cookies. I at least hope they were good. Like, come on, someone's gonna have to clean up that mess later. But hey, it is what it is. This was a good match. This was a good, fun match. Went about 14 minutes, as I said. So, and I didn't know who was gonna win. I thought maybe either the family or No Quarter Catch Crew, but they got OTM Out the Mud in this match, winning this match. So hey, good for them. I don't think they've gotten a shot at the tag team titles yet. They did have, I think, a six-person mixed tag match at one point against the family, who I think at the time of the match happening were the tag team champions. So I'm like, oh, okay, I've not a bad match. Not a bad match. That wasn't a bad match back then, because I know that happened, I think, last year. Not 2024, but in 2023. But hey, it is what it is. Congrats to OTM. Then we get the main event. Oh, before we get the main event, we got a video package for Roxanne Perez. Obviously, this was just a simple video package, just chronicling her rise in NXT from winning the Women's Iron Survivor to winning the Breakout Tournament in 2022 to winning the tag team titles, NXT Women's Tag Team titles at the time with Cora Jade, before Cora Jade stabbed her in the back. Then winning the Women's Iron Survivor match, to then winning the NXT Women's Championship the first time against Mandy Rose, to losing the title, obviously having to relinquish the title via not being medically cleared, basically, to compete, because at the end of a match at NXT Roadblock, she sort of passed out in a manner that was very similar to Shawn Michaels back in the 90s after a match. I can't remember who it was, but after the match, he just, I guess it was just exhausted, totally exhausted from the match, and just fell to the mat. And so, obviously having to relinquish the title, losing the title, and then just now getting the title back, and now having been champion for the majority of 2024. Arguably, this was, I think, better than I thought it was going to be. I was not sure how long they were going to have her as champion, but the fact that they were willing to commit to her actually having a run with the women's title this time around, that lasted more than like a month or two, because her reign as NXT Women's Champion technically began in like January and basically ended in early April. So basically she was champion for about 4 months. Basically 2 months, because she technically had to relinquish the title as well. But hey, she's been a great champion. And apparently as of today, she was voted by ESPN, along with Toni Storm, might I add, as the Women's Wrestler of the Year by ESPN. So she and Toni Storm basically are now basically the co-Women's Wrestler of the Year, as voted by ESPN. Well, I'm guessing people who, I don't know how it was voted on, but hey, congrats to her. Main event, though, was Trick Williams. Trick Williams was out there to address the controversial finish to last week's NXT title match, where it looked like, I thought that Trick Williams had just pinned Eddie Thorpe, but then finding out that, oh wait, both of them had their shoulders down at the same time, so it was considered a double pin. So it is what it is. But hey, it is what it is. It was interesting. It's an interesting finish. And the post-match stuff that happened after NXT went off the air may have been better than the match itself. Why we didn't see that at the end of the show? Why they didn't show that on TV? I don't know why. But obviously, Trick Williams, Oba Femi came out. Well, actually, no, it was Eddie Thorpe that came out first, then Oba Femi. And so, and now Trick Williams was like, okay, looks like you and me still have problems. Still have some problems that we have to deal with. You and me, Oba, we have a date at New Year's Eve. So he decided, to make everything fair, if Eddie Thorpe wants another match, then I'll just give it to him, but I'll just make me versus Oba a triple threat match and just include Eddie in it. And so Ava is like, Trick, is this what you want? Because obviously you know that the odds aren't necessarily in your favor. And he's like, yes, Ava, I want this match. And so Ava makes it official, and so now the match between Trick Williams and Obafemi is a triple threat match with Eddie Thorpe. A way to make the finish overly predictable. Eddie Thorpe is obviously taking the pin here. Now who pins him will be discussed. Like, people will say, okay, Oba needs to pin Eddie, or Trick can pin Eddie. That's either one of those two. So I don't know who's going to win the title or who's going to win or who's going to retain the title at New Year's Evil. But yeah, Tuesday, NXT was actually a better show this week than Monday Night Raw. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 because there were some good matches on the show. Some good segments. So it is what it is. Then AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite this week saw a number of Continental Classic matches. This was, I guess, AEW Dynamite on 34th Street because it was now obviously this apparently was pre-taped on Sunday at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Also, obviously, because it was Christmas and they wanted, I guess, the superstars in AEW to be able to spend time with their families and their loved ones and friends and stuff. So they pre-taped this show. But it wasn't that bad. We got basically the opening match was Will Ospreay versus Brody King. This match went about 11 minutes. Will Ospreay wins, which I almost thought was going to happen, which I knew was probably going to happen. But hey, it was a good match. After this, we got a little promo from Chris Jericho, another New York Minute, about the third one we've gotten, and these have actually been pretty interesting. At least these are more interesting than Chris Jericho's Learning Tree segments. But again, I ask, why do we need this on AEW Dynamite? This should be relegated to the brand where Chris Jericho is the world champion, which is Ring of Honor, of all places. Keep this on Ring of Honor, as well as the champion and the title he's holding. Okay? AEW Dynamite should be for AEW superstars and AEW champions only. Okay? Why do we need Ring of Honor titles showing up on AEW television at all? And guys, Chris Jericho needs to retire. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I feel about it. Chris Jericho just needs to retire before he wears out his welcome. And he already has, but apparently he doesn't seem to care about what the fans think of him. Eventually, he's going to start thinking. He's going to start caring. We then get backstage. We go backstage, and we have Anthony Bowens backstage. He had a match. He was reacting to what Chris Jericho had to say, and he was not exactly happy with what Chris Jericho had to say. And he's like, if you wanna talk a lot of smack about New York, how about you and me have a match on Rampage? So that match happened, and I'm pretty sure it was a forgetful match. Which the most interesting thing about that match was apparently Max Caster accidentally hitting Anthony Bowens with the Ring of Honor World title. Great. The most interesting thing about that match apparently was an accidental shot to the head with a Ring of Honor title. And also this edition of Rampage last night was the final one, and I'm hoping that we don't ever see Rampage ever again. But yes, that was a good backstage segment. Then the next match we get Toni Storm versus Taya Valkyrie. This match I think this match came about because of a backstage segment on Collision last week on Saturday, AEW Collision, where she where Taya and her friend Deonna Purrazzo, who they now call themselves the Vendetta, they were backstage being interviewed by Renee Paquette, or at least one of the AEW backstage interviewers. Toni Storm comes up and just decides to just, I guess you could say, reintroduce herself to Taya and Deonna, and so that led to this match being made official for Dynamite. This was a good match. This was actually a good women's match. Went about 8 minutes, and it went about as long as I thought it probably should have. And it was about 8 minutes, and it was pretty darn good for a women's match. And Toni Storm got the win. So good for her. But apparently, from what I heard, she is being listed on the 0 hour for tonight's AEW World's End pay-per-view, which I won't be watching unless for some reason I can find a way to watch it online. But hey, I don't know what to say. Her gimmick right now is actually pretty genius, but it's like, you can't, if you're not going to really use her on the main show, then why don't you just like not have her on the show at all? Yeah, but hey, it is what it is. Then we get another Continental Classic match. This time it's Darby Allin versus Ricochet. Another really good match. I mean, I think it's probably impossible for Darby Allin to have a bad match on AEW television. And it's probably bad, and it probably is hard for Ricochet to have a bad match either. But so this was a good match between the two of them. This went about 13 minutes, so it was obviously a good match. And then we get, obviously, Ricochet won the match, which I thought was going to happen anyways. Then, now after the match, Darby Allin is walking up the ramp, and apparently Commander is coming out because his match with Claudio Castagnoli in the Continental Classic is up next. Darby Allin then whispers something to both Commander and I think it's Jose, the assistant, the guy who's, I guess, the Commander's manager, or at least the guy that comes out with him every time he wrestles. Apparently, that guy apparently was wearing a Wolverine costume or outfit on, which I thought was actually pretty neat. He looked pretty good he looked cool in a Wolverine costume. So, but yeah, now what Darby was telling him, obviously we would find out at one point in the match with Claudio and Commander, when Commander was sent outside the ring to the area where the entrance ramp is. Apparently Darby Allin had left his coat there, and what was in the coat was apparently a pair of brass knuckles. So obviously Darby Allin was like, hey, I know you're going to be facing Claudio, just in case you need something to counteract, because I think they've used brass knuckles before the Death Riders. So I thought that was pretty genius that they had Commander win via brass knuckles. And the crowd was actually pretty excited for that moment. It was like, yeah, he decked us with brass knuckles, but then again, Claudio's kind of deserved it because of all the things he's done recently in his association with Moxley, Jon Moxley. So it was a good little match, went about 8 minutes. Afterwards, though, obviously the Death Riders came in to attack Commander. Then Hangman and Page, Orange Cassidy and Jay White, they all came out to exact their revenge, I guess, on the Death Riders, but they all got away basically scot-free. Then, so hey, it is what it is. Then we get another Continental Classic match. We got 5 Continental Classic matches tonight. Then we got Shelton Benjamin versus Kazuchika Okada. This match also lasted about 8 minutes, about 9 minutes though. Wasn't anything too special, but it was a good match. Shelton Benjamin won this match. It is what it is. That's good. Actually, no, Kazuchika won the match. Kazuchika Okada won the match. And so, as of right now, in the Continental Classic semifinals tonight at World's End, it will be Ricochet versus Kazuchika Okada and Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay. Great, I wonder how that match is going to end. Then, obviously, the main event, though, was also a Continental Classic match. As I said, we got 5 of them on here tonight. Kyle Fletcher versus Daniel Garcia. This was another good match. All the Continental Classic matches we got tonight were good matches. Even the Commander versus Claudio match was somewhat enjoyable. Kyle Fletcher and Daniel Garcia. So this match went about 11 minutes. Kyle Fletcher won the match, which I knew was going to happen. So it's what it is. AEW Dynamite was surprisingly good this week, so I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Then we go to Friday Night SmackDown. Friday Night SmackDown. Didn't remember where Friday Night SmackDown was. Don't really care. But now the show didn't necessarily open up with like a match or segment, but it opened up basically with Nick Aldis giving Kevin Owens an ultimatum. Kevin Owens, he basically made it clear that Kevin Owens is to return the Winged Eagle title tonight, or there will be severe consequences if he doesn't. Now, the opening match was Naomi, Bayley, and Bianca Belair versus Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. This was a standard 6-woman tag match. Went about 10 minutes. Before this match happened, though, they had a back, Nia Jax and Bianca basically had a back and forth about who attacked Jade. We still don't know who attacked Jade Cargill, but it is what it is. It is. This match went about 10 minutes. Basically, Nia Jax, before this match, obviously, like I said, we had a back and forth. We still know who attacked. Nia Jax then decides to imply that maybe Bianca is the one who attacked Jade. And I'm like, I mean, yes, it makes sense for Bianca to attack Jade, but then also it would make sense for Naomi to be the one. So I am sort of glad that they are actually making us think about who attacked Jade, because either one of those two would be perfect candidates. And the only two that I would ever think of as being the two who did it, as the person who did it. They're the only two that even make sense. So I'm actually kind of glad that they're making us think about, okay, we all thought maybe it was Naomi, but now we're made to think that it could be Bianca, and I do believe that's a viable option that WWE has as far as who attacked Jade. But Naomi, Bayley, and Bianca win the match. So hey, it is what it is. After this match, we got Austin Theory and Grayson Waller backstage. They are talking with Nick Aldis about the damage done to the Grayson Waller effect set last week. The damage that Braun Strowman did to the Grayson Waller effect set last week. Then Nick Aldis is then like, if you guys want to start running your mouth, maybe you should start putting your money where your mouth is. And so he decides to book Austin Theory versus Braun Strowman tonight on SmackDown. So great. Then we almost immediately get Sami Zayn. He wants to talk to Nick Aldis about getting a match against a member of the Bloodline, the new Bloodline 2.0, who attacked him this past Monday night on Raw. Then Carmelo Hayes decides to come in and decides to come into focus and is like and starts talking his usual brand of trash talk. Then Sami Zayn is like, dude, you seem to be talking an awful lot of trash. What if you and me get a one-on-one, have a one-on-one match tonight? And so I'm like, oh, okay, this match should actually be pretty good. And it was. We then go and we get Austin Theory versus Braun Strowman. It is what it is. Simple match. Lasted about 6 minutes. The ending, we almost saw Austin Theory win in the end, and he was going for his 8-count down finisher and actually looked like he might be able to actually pull it off. But then Braun Strowman obviously was able to eventually hit the running power slam for the 1-2-3. Simple match. At one point, also Grayson Waller looked like he was about to get flattened maybe by Braun Strowman and just decided, I'm just going to get the hell out of here. I'm guessing they're still running the so-called potential split of A-Town Down Under, which I don't know why we haven't gotten that yet. I mean, they've been running this sort of little angle of A-Town Down Under potentially breaking up for months now, and if it doesn't happen anytime soon, then they might as well just keep the two paired together for the rest of their lives, because eventually no one's going to even care. After this match, we go to commercial break, and afterwards, after we came back, we get a video, sort of a vignette for Kevin Owens. He had a message, I guess you could say a response to Nick Aldis's stipulation that he had to give back the Winged Eagle title. Kevin Owens is like, dude, no, because I'm the rightful champion. I was screwed out of the title at Saturday night's main event. You know it. Everybody else knows it. So, you know what? No, I'm going to keep this title, and I'm not giving it up. You can't make me give this up, because this should be my title now. It's basically all this promo message was, and it was simple and effective. Then we get the Street Profits are backstage. They are still sort of not happy about being attacked recently. I don't know if Aaron's still here, Austin, but I'm actually kind of surprised that this is the first live stream in basically forever since I haven't had any problems with the trolls. And it seems very convenient. Very inconvenient that on this particular Saturday I don't have troll problems. And it's only after I get banned from Match Channel that I suddenly no longer have troll problems. Yeah, right. Seems too much like a coincidence to me. Seems like someone is trying to just forget about me. Well, that's nice, but the problem is that I'm not gonna stop forgetting about you. So try all you want, but you will never get rid of me. You will never be rid of me, ever. Los Garza, Pretty Deadly are backstage as well. They inform the Street Profits. They want to tell the Street Profits that they know who attacked them last week. Attacked them the night that they were supposed to have a rematch for the WWE Tag Team titles. And they said that it was Los Garza who attacked them. So this leads to a match tonight with Street Profits and Los Garza, or Los Lotharios, if you want to call them that. So this was a pretty decent tag team match, by the way. It was actually a very good tag team match. Went about 10 minutes, and obviously Los Garza did not get the win. It was Street Profits who obviously got the win. An entertaining tag match, but it didn't do much. It's not going to do much of anything for either team. After the match, we go backstage. Street Profits are backstage. Street Profits sort of thank Pretty Deadly for pointing them in the right direction as far as who attacked them. But then Apollo Crews comes in and is like, guys, I don't really know how to tell you this, but you were played. Street Profits, what the Pretty Deadly told you was wrong, was false. Those guards did not attack you. I saw who attacked you, and it was DIY. And I think it's pretty obvious. If DIY didn't already confirm that they were the ones who did attack Street Profits, I'd say it was a pretty foregone conclusion as to who attacked them. At least Ciampa could have been the one who attacked them, and then Johnny Gargano was like somewhere else trying to get a match made. But hey, I think it was pretty clear when they did get attacked who attacked them. So hey, it is what it is. After this, we get Chelsea Green segment. A Chelsea Green segment. Obviously, she is a Chelsea Green celebration of her winning the North American Women's United States title at Saturday night's main event. This was a good segment, and Chelsea Green came out in a Statue of Liberty-esque outfit with a lot of people were even saying have been saying that she looked very Miss Congeniality-esque, like in the movie Miss Congeniality when Sandra Bullock, when all of the Miss America contestants at the beginning, all dressed in green dresses, wearing a Statue of Liberty sort of Liberty hat on their head, basically the same thing. So yeah, I thought it was pretty on brand for what she does, and I thought it was pretty interesting, and also really liked Chelsea Green's outfit too, very, I guess you could say, First Lady-esque. Obviously, this did not go without its problems. So this segment didn't go off without a hitch. You wouldn't expect a Chelsea Green segment to be perfect. Obviously, Michin, who Chelsea Green beat to become champion, the first ever champion, she interrupted things. Obviously, she decided to introduce Chelsea Green to her new best friend, since Chelsea Green's best friend decided to interfere in their match on Saturday. So she brought out a kendo stick and just decided to way both Chelsea and Piper with it. Obviously, they got away, but not before. Hey, it is what it is. Good segment. Obviously, if this feud they decide to continue this feud, I'm not going to be too excited or too not excited, but it is what it is. Then we get Sami Zayn versus Carmelo Hayes, the best match of the entire night, minus maybe the Street Profits, those Garza match. This match went about 11 minutes. And so that is what that is. And at one point, it looked like Sami Zayn was going to go for his finisher, but then the Bloodline 2.0 come out to basically interrupt the match. They attack Sami Zayn. I think Braun Strowman eventually comes out because he's got problems with Carmelo Hayes at the moment. He decides he sees that Sami's just getting beat up, and so he's like, no, I don't think I can just stand by and just let Sami get beat up like this. So he comes in, just starts bulldozing through everybody. Then we get a stare down between Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu, and I'm like, oh yes, I would love to see that match. But then obviously Tama Tonga from behind, chop block. Then you got Solo Sikoa 3 Samoan spikes to Braun Strowman, which I'm guessing would be enough to keep him down. Then we get, obviously, Sami Zayn still tries to get back in this and start, but then he gets a Samoan spike for his troubles, and that's how that ends. So basically, another match ruined by a Bloodline beatdown. How many of these have we gotten this year? Too many to count. One of the things we need to dial down in 2025 is the amount of Bloodline beatdowns, either during matches or post-match, either during the match or post-match. Obviously, the main event was Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. Kevin Owens was there. He needed to give back the Winged Eagle title or there would be severe repercussions. Obviously, Kevin Owens was like, dude, no, I'm not giving back the title. You can't make me. And then in a surprise twist, Cody Rhodes actually came back, which I'm surprised he came back so quickly after selling his neck for basically only about a week. But this led to Cody Rhodes wanting a ladder match to determine who the rightful champion is. So this match will now be taking place at the Royal Rumble, which is in February this year, I think very early February. So it is what it is. That should be a good match. As far as who wins that match, obviously we know who should win, and that's Kevin Owens, because he's been right the entire time. He's never been wrong in anything he's said or done. And also, he's been booked like bulletproof this entire feud. He's hardly taken any bumps, hardly taken any, in almost all of the beatdowns, he's been the one that's gotten away without a scratch on him, whereas everybody else has gotten at least some form of damage done to them. But knowing WWE, they are going to make Cody win. They're going to have Cody win so he can walk into WrestleMania as the champion, because that's what just has to happen. Because Cody Rhodes just has to walk into WrestleMania as champion. As much as I love Cody Rhodes right now, I think Kevin Owens can benefit from a title reign, and I'm sure people will tell me that this sort of him carrying around the title is his unofficial reign as champion. Like, no, it's not. He's not the champion, so it doesn't count because he's not the champion. But it is what it is. This was a decent episode of SmackDown. Not good, but it was decent. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. But guys, that is it. That is it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I did not have problems with trolls today, which I was very surprised. And I'll see you guys next time. And until next time, peace. Bye, guys.